In an increasingly interconnected world, staying informed about global news is no longer just an option, it's a necessity. From the battlefields of the Middle East to the halls of international summits, events across the globe can have a ripple effect, impacting our lives in profound ways. Understanding these events, the forces that drive them, and their potential consequences is crucial for engaged citizenship and informed decision-making. We must move beyond our immediate surroundings and tune into the stories unfolding across continents. These stories, though seemingly distant, have the power to shape our understanding of the world, influence our perspectives, and even impact our daily lives. It is through this lens of global awareness that we can begin to grasp the complexities of our world, appreciate the interconnectedness of global challenges, and contribute to meaningful conversations about solutions. By staying informed, we empower ourselves to become more engaged citizens, capable of understanding and navigating the intricacies of our increasingly complex world. The Middle East, a region perpetually at the crossroads of history, is once again embroiled in conflict. This ancient land, rich in culture and history, has seen countless battles and power struggles over the centuries. Today, it faces yet another chapter of turmoil, with the stakes as high as ever. Recent Israeli airstrikes have targeted Beirut's southern suburbs, a stark reminder of the volatile situation on the ground. These strikes have not only caused significant destruction, but have also heightened tensions in an already fragile region. The reverberations of these actions are felt far and wide, impacting the lives of countless individuals. The strikes, which claimed the life of a senior Hezbollah official, have drawn condemnation from various corners of the international community. Leaders from around the world have voiced their concerns, calling for restraint and a return to diplomatic efforts. The loss of life and the ensuing political fallout underscore the complexity of the situation. The situation in Gaza remains dire, with thousands of Palestinians displaced and seeking refuge from the ongoing violence. The humanitarian crisis is deepening, with basic necessities becoming scarce. Families are torn apart, and the infrastructure is in ruins, making daily life a struggle for survival. Images of families huddled in makeshift shelters, their lives upended by the conflict, serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of this enduring struggle. Children, who should be playing and learning, are instead growing up amidst the rubble, their futures uncertain. The psychological scars of war are profound and long-lasting. The international community watches with bated breath, hoping for a swift de-escalation and a return to dialogue. Diplomatic efforts are underway, with leaders and diplomats working tirelessly to broker peace. The stakes are high and the world is watching, hoping for a breakthrough that could bring lasting stability to the region. However, the path to peace remains elusive, and the specter of further violence looms large. Military buildups and stalled peace talks add to the uncertainty, making the prospect of a peaceful resolution seem distant. The region is on edge, with the potential for further escalation always present. The plight of civilians caught in the crossfire underscores the urgency for a peaceful resolution. Humanitarian aid is critical, but it is only a temporary solution. Long-term peace and stability require addressing the root causes of the conflict and finding a sustainable path forward. It is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the importance of pursuing all avenues for diplomacy and de-escalation. The voices of those calling for peace must be heard, and their efforts supported. Only through dialogue and mutual understanding can the cycle of violence be broken, paving the way for a brighter future for all. Amidst the escalating tensions, a glimmer of hope emerges. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, engaging in a whirlwind of diplomatic efforts, sees an opportunity for peace. His meetings with Israeli leaders, though taking place against a backdrop of violence, signal a commitment to dialogue and a search for common ground. Former Israeli Justice Minister's call for an end to the war marks a significant development. This internal dissent within Israel, a nation often perceived as monolithic in its stance on the conflict, could potentially pave the way for a shift in perspective. Whether these diplomatic overtures will bear fruit remains to be seen. The situation remains fluid, and the potential for further escalation cannot be discounted. However, the mere fact that dialogue is being attempted, that voices of dissent are being raised, offers a glimmer of hope in these dark times. It is a reminder that even in the midst of conflict, the pursuit of peace must remain paramount. Section 4. The BRICS Summit, a shift in power. As the Middle East grapples with conflict, a different kind of drama unfolds on the global stage. The world watches closely as tensions rise and fall, but amidst this turmoil, another significant event is taking place that could reshape the global landscape. The BRICS Summit, a gathering of the world's leading emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has taken center stage, highlighting the shifting sands of global power. These nations, each with their unique strengths and challenges, come together to discuss and strategize on issues that affect not just their own regions, but the entire world. Hosted by Russia, this year's summit takes on added significance, with President Vladimir Putin's agenda under intense scrutiny. The world is keen to see how Russia, under Putin's leadership, will navigate the complex geopolitical landscape, and what new alliances or strategies might emerge from this gathering. The summit serves as a platform for these powerful nations to discuss a range of issues, from global economic governance to security concerns. Topics such as trade policies, investment opportunities, and collaborative projects are on the table, reflecting the diverse interests and priorities of the BRICS nations. It is a testament to the growing influence of these emerging economies, their voices carrying increasing weight on the world stage. The decisions made here could potentially alter the course of international relations and economic policies, making this summit a focal point for global observers. The summit also highlights the complex interplay between geopolitics and economics. As these nations discuss their economic futures, they must also consider the geopolitical ramifications of their decisions. The balance of power is delicate, and every move is watched closely by other global players. With the global order in flux, these nations are seeking to carve out their own spheres of influence, challenging the traditional dominance of the West. This shift is not just about economic power, but also about political and cultural influence, as these countries assert their identities and priorities on the world stage. The outcomes of the BRICS Summit will have far-reaching implications for global trade, geopolitics, and the balance of power in the 21st century. Agreements made here could lead to new trade routes, investment flows, and strategic partnerships that redefine international relations. It is a clear indication that the world is no longer dominated by a single superpower, but rather is moving towards a multipolar system. This new reality requires a rethinking of old alliances and the forging of new ones, as nations navigate a more complex and interconnected global landscape. The BRICS Summit is a microcosm of this larger shift, a sign of the times that the future of global power is being rewritten. Section 5. Diplomatic Maneuvers on the World Stage. In this chapter, we delve into the intricate and often delicate art of diplomacy, a cornerstone of international relations that shapes the global landscape. The BRICS Summit is just one example of the intricate diplomatic dance taking place on the global stage. This annual gathering of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa serves as a platform for these emerging economies to discuss and coordinate on various global issues, from economic policies to security concerns. As nations navigate a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and shared challenges, diplomacy takes center stage. The art of diplomacy involves not just formal negotiations, but also informal discussions, back-channel communications, and the building of personal relationships between leaders and diplomats. The recent de-escalation of the border conflict between India and China, two BRICS members, offers a potential model for resolving international disputes through dialogue and diplomacy. This conflict, which had the potential to escalate into a larger confrontation, was managed through a series of high-level talks, confidence-building measures, and mutual agreements to disengage. The United States, while grappling with the situation in the Middle East, is also actively engaged in diplomatic efforts on multiple fronts. From negotiating peace deals to managing alliances, the U.S. plays a pivotal role in shaping the geopolitical landscape of the region. From managing relations with China to addressing the ongoing war in Ukraine, the U.S. faces a multitude of foreign policy challenges. Each of these situations requires a nuanced approach, balancing national interests with global stability. Diplomacy, often conducted behind closed doors and away from the glare of the media spotlight, plays a crucial role in maintaining global stability. These private discussions allow for candid exchanges and the exploration of solutions that might not be possible in a more public setting. It is through these channels of communication, through dialogue and negotiation, that nations can hope to resolve differences, build trust, and prevent conflicts from escalating. The signing of agreements, often the culmination of months or even years of negotiations, symbolizes the commitment of the involved parties to a peaceful resolution. In an increasingly interconnected world where challenges transcend borders, diplomacy is not just an option, it is an absolute necessity. Issues such as climate change, terrorism, and pandemics require coordinated international responses, making diplomacy more critical than ever. It is the lifeblood of international relations, the key to unlocking peaceful solutions to complex global challenges. Through diplomacy, nations can work together to create a more stable, prosperous, and peaceful world for future generations. The role of diplomats, therefore, is not just to represent their countries but to act as architects of a collaborative global future.